Welcome to a very special Thanksgiving week, HugNation. Before we get started, let's just take a moment and come into the present. Such a simple thing, so critical, always there. Always the present moment is there and full and rich. And so often it is something that we are not present for. So let's just be aware of our bodies in this moment. Notice the sensations, sounds, feelings, smells. And from your body, go from your toes, to your ankles, calves, knees, thighs, buttocks, your gut, your chest. Feel your fingertips and your arms, biceps, your shoulders, your neck, the back of your head, up into your forehead, your face. Feel all that energy then shooting out of the top of your head. Just being present in this moment, just acknowledging all the energy in you, thriving in you, working, doing all these processes of your body without any thought on your behalf. All these processes happening in the world, photosynthesizing, animals growing, all sorts of things creating this energy that fuels you and allows you to perceive and see and experience and love. What a gift to be in this place, in this now. Thank you, universe, for all these blessings. Help us to appreciate them and live in love. Amen. Oh, welcome. Welcome to Thanksgiving week, HugNation. As I was just saying, if you're really, in your practice of being grateful, then Thanksgiving is, just another day. But that doesn't mean it's not a great day to celebrate and refocus your practice of Thanksgiving. It's actually one of the few holidays where there's very little pressure to be a consumer on Thanksgiving. I guess you can buy a stuffed animal turkey, which then gets you into weird places when you're trying to explain to the kid, yes, this is actually what we're eating right now. Oh, the real one we're eating is much more disgusting looking than this one. It's got this. Never mind. So I talk about gratitude pretty much every week in some way or another. So I'm going to just tell some of my favorite stories or thoughts about having gratitude, being thankful, and just see how it goes. I'm going to start with a reading from one of my favorite books called Pronoia by Rob Bresny. Pronoia is the antidote for paranoia. Now, you're familiar probably with the term paranoia, right? That thought that everyone is out to get you. Pronoia is the opposite. Pronoia is the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor. I love this idea. Love it! And the more you look for evidence of that, the more you'll see it. I'm going to just read one of the opening passages of this book, and it's called Glory in the Highest. Thousands of things go right for you every day, beginning the moment you wake up. Through some magic you don't fully understand, you're still breathing, and your heart is beating. Even though you've been unconscious for many hours, the air is a mix of gases that just right for your body's needs, as it was before you fell asleep. You can see. Light of many colors floods your eyes, registered by nerves that took God or evolution or some process millions of years to perfect. The interesting gift of these vivid hues comes to you courtesy of an unimaginably immense globe of fire, the sun, which continually detonates nuclear reactions in order to convert its body into light and heat and energy for your personal use. Did you know that the sun is located at the precise distance from you to be of perfect service? If it were any closer, you'd fry, and if it were any further away, you'd freeze. Do you remember when you were born, by the way? It was a difficult miracle that involved many people who worked hard on your behalf. No less miraculous is the fact that you have continued to grow since then, with millions of new cells being born inside you to replace the old ones that die. All of this happens whether or not you ever think about it. On this day, like almost every other, you have awoken inside a temperature-controlled shelter. You have a home. Your bed and pillow are soft and you're covered by comfortable blankets. The electricity is turned on as usual. Somehow, in ways you're barely aware of, a massive power plant at an unknown distance from your home is transforming fuel into currents of electricity that reach you through mostly hidden conduits in the exact amounts you need, and all you have to do to control the flow is flick small switches with your fingers. You can walk! Your legs work wonderfully well. Your heart circulates your blood all the way down to replenish the energy of the muscles in your feet and calves and thighs. And when the blood is depleted, it finds its way back to your heart to be refreshed. This blessing recurs over and over again without stopping every hour of your life. Your home is perhaps not $1 million palace, but it is sturdy, gigantic compared to the typical domicile in every culture that has preceded you. The floors aren't crumbling and the walls and ceilings are holding up well too. Doors open and close without trouble, and so do the windows. What skillful geniuses built this sanctuary for you? How and where did they learn their craft? In your bathroom, the toilet is functioning perfectly, as are several other convenient devices. You have at your disposal soaps, creams, razors, clippers, tooth cleaning accessories, a host of products that enhance your hygiene and appearance. You trust that unidentified scientists somewhere tested them to be sure they're safe for your use. Amazingly, the water you need so much of comes out of your faucets in an even flow with the volume you want and either cold or hot as you desire. It's pure and clean. You're confident no parasites are lurking in it. There is someone somewhere making sure these boons will continue to arrive for you without interruption as long as you require them. Look at your hands. They're astounding creations that allow you to carry out hundreds of tasks with great force and intricate grace. They relish the pleasure and privilege of touching thousands of different textures. And they're beautiful. In your closet are many clothes that you like to wear. Who gathered the materials to make the fabrics they're made of? Who imbued them with colors, and how did they do it? Who sewed them for you? In your kitchen, appetizing food and secure packaging is waiting for you. Many people you've never met worked hard to grow it, process it, and get it to the store where you bought it. The bounty of tasty nourishment you get to choose from is unprecedented in the history of the world. Your many appliances are working flawlessly, despite the fact that they feed on electricity, which could kill you instantly if you touch it directly. You feel no fear that you're in danger. Why? Your faith in the people who invented, designed, and produced these machines is impressive. It's as if there is a benevolent conspiracy of unknown people that is tirelessly creating hundreds of useful things you like and need. He goes on for pages and pages, but I think you get the point. Wow! There is so much awesome happening at all times. More than you really have time to notice. Which means that we have given a massive choice. There is far too much in the universe for us to pay attention to in the limited amount of time we have to live. So a core decision that we make in every moment is where are we going to place our focus. Are we going to be aware that our kitchen is filled with amazing appliances? Or are we going to be bitter that one of them isn't working? Now, I've gotten into a lot of conversations in the last week because I posted something on a Burning Man wall that was kind of very go with the flow, everything's going to work out, have faith. And a number of people really took offense to that. To be fair, far more people were supportive, but several took offense and, started a debate about it. And I've discussed this a lot in the past and, just will touch on it in that loving reality, being grateful, noticing all that is amazing does not mean that you sit on the couch and just do nothing and just sit and be in this amazing world. It means you find a clarity free from anxiety, free from a frustration and anger, so that your present is peaceful, and then you can, from that place of clarity, decide what your next action is. We are human beings. We are active creatures in the universe. We have no choice but to do something. So the mindset by which we decide where we're going to focus and what we're going to do is critical. You can spend your entire life, and maybe to take an action from that place. Or you can be like, oh, yes, and take action from that place. The action can be the same, the circumstances can be the same, but the second person is going to have a lot better time in the process. So, I always go back to my most profound teacher of gratitude so far in this lifetime, which is my grandfather. Grandpa Caleb was a spectacular man, and I went to go see him at least once a week and have lunch with him and sit with him. And HugNation, if you're not aware, began as really a dialogue that I would have with him, and then we would do the hug together. And after years of this, actually we did about 3 years together, it became clear that he would repeat stories, and sometimes he had nothing new to share, but every time it was valuable because what he was really sharing was this gratitude, this vibration of appreciation that was so profound that it trumped any other his beliefs, it trumped anything else going on in his life, it trumped circumstance and everything. So no matter what was going on in the physical world that he was present in at that time, he was able to be amazed and marvel at what was going on. It was fun to have lunch with him, and there were people all around in this community that were frustrated by the limitations by being in this retirement village, whether it was their body or their freedom or they had to move from their houses, and there was a lot of frustration. But then there's like these two paths of people that were living there. The ones that were just like, and then some that were just like, That's the scientific terms for those paths. And my grandfather was in the, and so he would love to sit down, and he always said, an open-ended invite, come have lunch with us. And through the years, dozens of people came and joined us and met us for the first time and got to just soak up a little bit of that gratitude. And every time we had a meal, he would say grace. And that's something that I still do. In fact, if anyone who's in the chat room or knows me, we probably said grace if we ate together. Now, the grace that I generally say is almost always the same, or some variation of it, and it's almost always, thank you, universe. Thank you for this meal, this food, this energy. Thank you for the people that I'm with. Help me to see all the blessings in my world, and help me to be a loving being in the world. So every time I eat, and I learned this from him, you eat every day. Every time that you eat, if you take a moment to snap back into that gratitude place, like, oh, wow, I have so much to be appreciative of. This is the most simple concept in the universe. Appreciating what is versus focusing on what isn't. That simple shift from noticing and wishing things were different to appreciating what is changes everything. It changes the way you see yourself. It changes your path. It changes the way people interact with you. Some people are afraid to give up their anger because they feel like they'll be inactive if they lose that. And that could be the case for you. But lots of people move through the world with gratitude and love, and it's just, my experience has been those people are the ones that I respond to. Those people are the ones that I listen to. Those are people the ones that affect and impact my life, so that then I go, I want to be acting and seeing the world more like that. I can remember visiting Grandpa in the hospital, and this was near the end. The final months of his life, he was in and out of the hospital quite a bit. But it was cool because he was so full of life, even when his body was falling apart, that the hospital would be like, look, we would never suggest doing the surgery on somebody his age, but this guy is awesome. Clearly this guy appreciates life and lights up everyone around him. He's not waiting to die. Let's try this. And he was always like, hey man, if the system wants to pay for this crazy surgery just to give me a little bit more, whatever, it's an adventure, let's go for it. And I remember visiting him, and he was, in his oh-so-chic blue gown, and he was pretty light. He'd lost a lot of weight, and his mouth was really dry because of the medications he was on. And he didn't look that great, I'll be honest. I remember my grandpa growing up in his, lumberjack outfits and chopping wood, and driving tractors, and he was not that. He looked weak. And I was like, oh, hey, hi, Grandpa, how's it going? And he was like, in his little, dry mouth, wow, the doctors here are so good to me. Modern medical science is just, really, it's miraculous. It's amazing what they can do here. I'm just so grateful for for the staff here and the miracles of modern medicine. I'm like, did he share with me how annoying it was that he had this splint in his arm? Did he share with me that he was struggling with so much? No. The story, his reality, his focus was on what is wonderful, what is amazing, what are the miracles. Now, you could make the argument, he's not facing reality. I would argue back, reality is a real big thing, and it involves way more than you can comprehend right now. So it really is a choice where you place your focus. I talk about it all the time, but you know what? I'm going to say it again. Crap or cone. At every moment in your life, you've got one foot in dog crap and you're holding an ice cream cone. There's always amazing things. There's this ice cream cone of beautiful people, and there's always a crap on your shoe of injuries and injustice and work that you need to do, people that don't like you, and there's always those laughing babies, beautiful flowers, people that love you. Way too many people set down their ice cream cone to focus on the shit, to talk to you about the shit, to make sure that you're aware that you have shit, and if possible, get you to talk about their shit. Note, these people are not removing the shit from their shoe. That's an entirely different thing. If you grab a stick and you're picking away and trying to get rid of some of the shit on your shoe, that's awesome. That's not my experience with most people in the world who are shit-focused. They feel it's a responsibility. They feel like that you're a Pollyanna living a la-la, not, facing the truth, not facing reality. I was in a conversation today, and someone was really arguing strong in favor of focusing on shit and really attacking, it's pretty, not attacking, but really strongly arguing against the new age shit, as they kept saying, of this positive attitude. And this is really kind of the core principle of my spiritual practice, is gratitude. And that everything else stems from that place. That shift from recognizing how much is amazing, how much is awesome, how pronoic this universe is. That when you start training yourself to notice the good, it changes your life. There is shit all over the place, and there is ice cream all over the place. And if you can start to practice seeing the ice cream, you start to notice it more and more and more. Unfortunately, our brains are wired in such a way that negative things have much more power, and the memory of them in the way we're wired is much more impactful. And there's evolutionary reasons for that. A gorgeous sunset, there's no urgency to process that, but an electrical storm or a charging bore, that's something that you better focus on, make the front of your brain, be aware of, because you want to keep yourself alive. But nothing about the frustrations in your life right now are threatening your life, your health. And so it takes practice to counteract the pre-wired nature of trying to focus on negative. We have a system of news in our culture where, now, you would think that news meant the story of the day. What's going on? That's probably how you define news if you were asked. But really, what news is reporting on the exceptional events. But really, that's not true either. What news is, as we've defined it in our culture, is reporting on the exceptional negative events. There are these spikes of exceptional things. There are car crashes, there are babies being born, there are murders, there are businesses thriving, there are inventions start working for the first time. There's all sorts of news, but we train ourselves pretty good to experience news as what's going wrong, what's going wrong, what's going wrong. We talk about that as a culture, we share that at the water fountain. If you meet a new group of people, in most experiences that I've had and that I've seen in the world, and you start talking about how awesome things are in your life, you start telling about your cone, we are discouraged from that. We try to like go, whoa, look who's so full of himself, you know? We bond and we share and we're encouraged to talk about the things that are not going right. That's considered realism. Everyone else is considered a Pollyanna. Not sure why I use the word Pollyanna. I think it's from an old movie. Let's say it's one who sees things too positively. So, what happens when you start practicing seeing the positive in things? First off, there are people that are going to start attacking you and calling you names. And the second is your baseline starts to get reset. And when you start to notice things like your running water as being amazing, then you start to live in a world that is full of miracles. It's like that grace that I try to say. Help me remember. Help me stop taking anything for granted and just seeing the miraculous in everything. And from that place, when you can start to see the amazing in the mundane, the world is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Another story I like to tell is when I was in Costa Rica many years ago and on this tour of the cloud forests. And, you know, we had like 15 people in our group, including the person who was leading it, who had this very adorable tendency. When he wanted to say, there are many trees, he would say, there are too many trees. Over here, there are too many trees. Which I just thought was awesome. Oh, too many trees, yes. But one of the things that he talked about, and when we even, you know, I think on the little pamphlet is talking about seeing monkeys and seeing the monkeys in their natural habitat. And I mean, that's a pretty awesome thing. Monkeys running around in trees is pretty spectacular, I'll admit. But something happened as we were on this trip. And that was the first place that we went to go see their monkey hangout. They weren't there. And then we kept going, and you know, after a while we still didn't see him, and the tour guide kept assuring us that, you know, I have another place that we're going to check. And so there was kind of this air of frustration in our group as we were trudging along in the mud and not seeing the monkeys. And at some point, I just kind of like had this like stopped and kind of let the tour group kind of, you know, start to walk away down this path. And the path is like, you know, half a foot clearing of mud in just dense jungle. And so I stopped, looked at this denseness, took one step off of the path and just kind of stared at the ground where there's just, you know, this rich undergrowth of decaying things and things popping up and little insects and another little insect here and this little leaf that's just starting another thing and this amazing ecosystem of life in this 2 foot by 2 foot square that I was standing. And then I kind of like panned up and saw that as far as I can see, it is dense, dense, dense jungle. I can't even see that far because it's so dense, but I know that miles and miles and miles in every direction is this denseness of life and miracles. And here we are as a tour group, blindly ignoring this all on our quest for monkeys. Why are the monkeys any more amazing than this millipede? We fall into that trap all the time in our lives. We fall out of gratitude because we get told or taught or convinced that there are certain things that are exceptional and amazing. But when you adjust your baseline, it's all exceptional and amazing. Like Pronoia said, I mean, whoa! The sun is exactly where it's supposed to be for us to have this wow! Now, it's hard to live in that wow state all the time. People ask you to leave movie theaters if you keep doing that. But it's a great place to pull back into the now, to that recognition of, oh my gosh, I have so much ice cream. Oh my gosh, this world is so full of gifts. Oh my gosh, the universe is conspiring in my favor. So, on this Thanksgiving week, let's remember the grand, amazing things in our life, the relationships, our families, our friends, our health, and let's remember everything else too. The blades of grass, the hard experiences that helped us learn. The reality is, in the crapper cone metaphor, if we really spend some time with it, the crap on our cone is actually fertilizer. It's all part of this amazing, miraculous system. We need it all. And when we can appreciate it all, we live in heaven. Thank you for being a part of heaven. Thank you for being something I am grateful for and I am thankful for. This gathering, this moment in live or archived, energetic, vibrational resonance recalibrates me, allows me to just see the gift. And thank you for being a huge part of that. Let's have a HugNation hug. Grab yourself by the shoulders. This body is made up of all these systems, organs, nerves, cells, and those cells are made up of even tinier pieces, and those are made up of even tinier pieces. And if you break it to their smallest little elements, those little bitty pieces are as old as the universe. We are made of stardust. Somehow, the matter of the universe has accumulated and collected and come together to be this body we hold, to give us awareness, to give us consciousness, to let us experience in a front row seat what this amazing universe is and has to offer, has to share. How can we not go through life going, wow? It is our job to strip away whatever stories or messaging trick us into forgetting the gift that we are in the middle of. And as we encounter people who are caught up in their stories, we forgive them as we forgive ourselves. Recognize that any conflict or adversity or obstacle may not be shit. It could be fertilizer. And when we surrender to gratitude and to love and acknowledge that we are all connected, we don't sit and do nothing. We have no choice but to act from a place of love. Take a deep breath and imagine all the people in the world as these vessels of love. Even if they don't see it in themselves, even if they are focused on all that's wrong, see through them and recognize that they are, at their core, identical, the same, rays from the same light, flames from the same fire, cells in the same cosmic organism. Take one deep breath and just feel a part of that one cosmic organism. Thank you, universe, for this gift. Thank you for all of the blessings. Help us to appreciate them. Help us to stay aware of all these blessings. Thank you to all the love warriors. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb, happy HugNation. Thank you on this Thanksgiving week. Happy HugNation. I love you. Namaste. Love is the felt experience of connection to another being. An economist says, more for you is less for me. But the lover knows that more of you is more for me too. If you love somebody, their happiness is your happiness. Their pain is your pain. Your sense of self expands to include other beings. This shift of consciousness is universal in everybody, 99% and 1%. That's Charles Eisenstein. Now, I love this idea. I mean, there's phrases in that I feel like I've said 100 times, and the way he kind of wraps that into the current state of the movement, I think is beautiful. And so I posted it this morning and got lots of people who are all very excited about, yes, I agree, yes, I agree, I disagree. And a few people that said, no. First of all, I'm always puzzled by the instinct to be contrarian, to say, I disagree. I think sometimes it's a matter of saying, you know what, I think you're misunderstanding things, and I want you to understand it from my perspective. Sometimes it's people feeling like the desire to debate and the need to show that you're wrong. And sometimes I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the intention is. Especially what I'm confused about is when people are bothered by something you say that is a seemingly upbeat and positive thing. You're like, I love ice cream. And people go, well, you know, ice cream is, you know, made by slaves and causes the bees to go away. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. Do you want me to not like ice cream as much? Oh, okay. All right. You did it. You pissed in the punch. Thanks. Now, I get it. There might be times when you say, oh man, I just had the best, you know, veal popsicle. And someone goes, you know, veal is actually kind of a cruel way to eat and blah, blah, blah. You might feel compelled to share in that way. But sometimes I just don't get it. Especially when people you don't know that well get into these real heated or spend this time debating. And I'm always puzzled when people do that, you know, on a website especially, because if you haven't checked in lately, the internet has gotten quite large and filled with all sorts of perspectives. So if you spend more than 10 seconds engaging in a belief system that you don't believe or you disagree with, and you don't go, I'm going to go elsewhere and go to a place that I resonate. Now, again, going back to, you might say, oh, these are people that I care about. I think they're open to new ideas. Let me have a discussion with them. But to go, something that I disagree with, let me debate. Let me pee in their punch. Let me try to make them see the world as I do. Because there's a reason why I call this Belief Buffet. And if you didn't know, I call the HugNation talks Belief Buffet. The idea being that these are dishes that have tasted good to me. They've filled my belly. And so if you chew on it and you like it, then serve yourself a plate and chew on it at your time. If it doesn't resonate with you, if it tastes funny, spit it out. I'm not no attachment. I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to share things that are helpful to me. So the response I got to that beautiful quote on the way an economist versus a lover views resources was, you assume they are capable of compassion and empathy. I know from experience not all are. As an ideal, my past self likes this, but my current and future self is apathetic toward it. And so I engaged with this comment, was kind of like, well, I mean, you say that your past self would have believed this, your current self doesn't. Are you happier now? You know, why are you so clinging to this belief that makes you unhappy? Little Byron Katie peeking in there. And the debate got quite long, and a lot of people chimed in, and I still was quite, I was like, I'm not sure what your agenda is. You know, why do you care what I think? And there seemed to be this built-up anger. And it was funny because the debate kept going into a place where they saying how transparent I was and the other people that were kind of chiming in on my side and how they could see right through us. And as I'm reading this, I'm going, like, I don't want to get into this, but it's very clear that your experiences with heartbreak and betrayal has clearly tainted your vision and made you think that you are done learning about the world, so now you're going to project it. I would argue you're still learning whatever lessons you need to learn, and you're not yet in a place to be educating the world about the way things are. But I tried to peel back a little bit and kind of said, well, you know, some of the things we talked about today, like focus on, well, you know, maybe you can focus a little bit on things that are going right. And they said, I love the textbook New Agey response. If it competes with and it may possibly deflate how I view things, I will just ignore it. And they said, and self-delusion helps how again? It's exactly what I was talking about today, about how there are people who feel like it is irresponsible to not focus on the shit in the world. And to which I would argue, How's that working out for you? You will find evidence for whatever you're looking for. Science has shown that. Whatever people want to believe, they will find evidence for it. You are guilty of this. I am guilty of this. So knowing that, why would you be so attached to beliefs that make you unhappy? Actually, I know why. It's because you don't think that beliefs are a choice. You think that these are facts, and that's the way the world is. There's a great book called Stumbling on Happiness that goes through, it's not a spiritual book, it's about the way your brain works and about what that makes us happy, and how science and hundreds of experiments have shown we are terrible judges of what will make us happy, as well as terribly in tune with what we actually see and think and perceive. We have the belief that we have a crisp memory and understanding of the way the world works, but that's not true at all. Our brains cannot crisply understand everything that happens to us. We create like signposts and then connect the dots. And those dots are connected in sometimes willy-nilly ways and sometimes have nothing to do with what really happened. And the more that you understand that your brain is not to be trusted, the less you can, like release that feeling of like, I can't let go of this truth. It's not a truth. It's the way you perceive it right now. I was listening to this guru, and I'll blank on his name, but he was in front of this crowd of people. He's like, where do you see me? And everyone's pointing at him. He goes, I will ask again, where do you see me? In your head. You see light bouncing off of something, received in your eyes, processed in your brain, and you have an image of me in your head. Everything in our world is separated by this processing. And there's all sorts of things that happen. It flips itself upside down, and we have memories, and people will swear they saw something. And then they get shown a video and they go, oh, no, actually my perception was influenced by the way you asked the question. I'm kind of going off a tangent here, but the point is, what's the point? I guess the point is that I find no issue with choosing and crafting a reality that makes a world that you enjoy living in. In fact, I think that seeking out evidence of that, making gratitude lists, keeping track of things that happen in the world that are beautiful, where things go right for you. This is something that Jacob Glass has. On his site, jacobglass.com, you can actually print out these worksheets that you do every day, things that went right for me. People that, all these like 4 different lists every day. Start practicing, noticing the things that are good, because everything else in the world is trying to focus you on what's going wrong. And that process, you will start to create, just by the way you put your attention, a world that is much more pleasant and beautiful and loving. That's a choice. If you think the world sucks, listen to Byron Katie, do Jacob Glass worksheets. If you do A and B and you're still frustrated, after a month, I'll give you $1. The point is, there is no point. The point is that joy is overflowing, and that we have to reset our baseline and train ourselves to notice and be aware of that you will find evidence for what you're looking for. There are people that I have on the side of my RV, it says, the world would rather hug you than hurt you. And people have made a point to tell me that's not true. I'm like, what? The world isn't like that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I have no doubt that if you believe the world is out to get you, that's exactly the world you live in. I, however, choose to believe that the world would rather hug me than hurt me, and that there are conditions and circumstances that make people act insane, out of alignment, where they might want to hurt me. But I believe at their core the world would rather hug me than hurt me, and that is the world I live in. If that's New Age, bullshit, then serve me up another helping, and I'll let the buffet line keep going. Ah, great question. Talig said, how do you right wrongs if it's all good? I think a lot of people have issue with that. Like, if I accept that everything is okay, then how will the world get better? How will I make things better for myself and the world? And what Byron Katie says about that is that that's a very common fear. Like, if I stop being angry, I will stop taking action towards fixing things. If I let go of this anxiety, I will just be complacent. And she says, and I tend to agree with this, it's been my experience, that a state of peace, a state of loving reality, does not create inaction. It creates peace. And then our next step is done from a place of peace. The next thing you see undone, you correct from a place of peace. Now, for a lot of people, you do have to be enraged to get off the couch, and that's fine. But I think that if you are at a place of love and compassion, then you have no choice. I mean, the next built-in logical inertia of being in love is to take a step of compassion. And that means righting wrongs. That means extending a hand to one that needs it. It means sharing with people that need it. It means opening to those that need it. It means seeking to increase the love, compassion, and connection in your world and the universe. I think that is where we go when we strip it all away. That we don't need to use our angry minds to trick ourselves to do those things. I think we are compelled to do those things. The problem is when you believe that you need to be angry or frustrated or stay in that congested state to take action, that is a mind state, and is often created through mind logic, which is very susceptible to convincing orators and charismatic leaders and such as that. It's not better to be swayed by if you are being called to action by the exterior versus interior, you're always at danger of being out of alignment. If you are at peace and coming from love, then that action you take is infused with love, infused with that no matter what it is. I think you can be at peace and still be quite a warrior. That's a good, maybe it is a cause for a whole HugNation. And you're right on. That is one of the number one objections that people have to what I talk about. When I say love more, fear less, float more, steer less, people say float more, do nothing, be a bum, sit on the couch, just let the world go to hell in a handbasket. To which I say, well, let's leave the handbaskets out of this. My faith is that when we strip away all of our exterior, we do have a heart song. We do have a pull towards the hero's journey, towards love, towards compassion, towards being connected humans to our planet. And I think that my faith is that if we strip away all of our ego desires, we will all be acting in that place of integration and harmony. Now, is the current state of the world, is it in that place of integration and harmony? No. Are we having a huge upheaval that is heading in that direction? Feels like it. Could we have that upheaval if some people weren't really angry? I don't know. But I do think that if too much anger infiltrates movements, then it becomes a war. And nobody wins a war. You can defeat someone and smash someone, but there's no winner when you go to war. Let's see. All right. Where am I? All right, so I'm going to just do a quick... I just saw that someone posted this on their page. In the honor of Thanksgiving, it's an anonymous, or actually author unknown, I guess that sounds better than anonymous poem. Be thankful. Be thankful that you don't already have everything you desire. If you did, what would there be to look forward to? Be thankful when you don't know something, for it gives you the opportunity to learn. Be thankful for the difficult times. During those times you grow. Be thankful for your limitations, because they give you opportunities for improvement. Be thankful for each new challenge, because it will build your strength and character. Be thankful for your mistakes. They will teach you valuable lessons. Be thankful when you're tired and weary, because it means you've made a difference. It is easy to be thankful for the good things. A life of rich fulfillment comes to those who are also thankful for the setbacks. Gratitude can turn a negative into a positive. Find a way to be thankful for your troubles, and they can become your blessings. Author unknown. Which is a great segue to another one of my famous stories. Not famous, favorite stories. And if you tune in a lot, you probably hear some of my stories frequently. And the reality is I only have a couple things to share, and I try to do so in as many ways as possible. Let's see. Life is awesome. Have gratitude. Gifting is important. We're all connected. Love, compassion, and harmony are the objectives. You know what I mean? I don't have that much that I share here, so it's not my fault that I share the same stories. But the story I wanted to share was of the Biodome project. Familiar with that? It was a project where they created an entirely self-contained biosphere with trees and animals and plants that all, that they created the photosynthesize and the oxygen, and so it's trying to self-contain with the objective of testing how realistic it would be to create colonies on other planets. Just, very early science stuff just to kind of get our heads thinking about how that could happen. And so they created this self-contained biodome. And after a few years, the largest trees just started falling. Kong, 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 kong. They didn't know it was up. So they called in a bunch of these, high-end botanists, which, I imagine are quite a crowd. They got a party, those botanists. But the botanists came in, and they start studying and looking, and they're going, no, there's no disease, there's no rot, there's no this. And then they're like, there's no explanation. They're not sick at all. I don't know why these... And then someone realized, wait a minute. There's no storms in the biosphere. There's no wind. There's no hardship for these trees. So without getting batted around in the wind as they were saplings as they grew, the roots were never forced to create the root structure required to keep a large, powerful tree upright. If you do not give an organism the hardship it requires, it does not develop into the being it is supposed to be. Same is true with a butterfly. If you help a butterfly out of its cocoon, it will die. And a human being also needs its hardships to grow its roots so that it can become the powerful being that it needs to be. Give thanks for it all. The ice cream, the shit, and the fertilizer. Thank you on this Thanksgiving week. Happy HugNation. I love you. Namaste.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.